What's happening, guys? Welcome to the fabulous Big Bet, the Austin Hooper Prop Edition. I am your host. I am Memphis. Thanks for tuning in to the Dynasty Warzone Fantasy Football Network. And again, today I'm going to be covering Austin Hooper and his season-long prop bet on the Draft Kings Sportsbook. While you're here, do me a favor, look down below, hit subscribe, turn them notifications on, and leave me a thumbs up, leave me a thumbs down, leave me some interaction in the comments so I can help make these podcasts more of what you want to see. This is going to be very similar to what you see in a live show perspective as we get closer to week one of the NFL. So we're going to have one tonight. I've got three more leading up to my first prop of the year on Thursday. So I'm going to jump into this. So Austin Hooper has a prop bet on DraftKings. The number is over or under 500.5 receiving yards. That is 500.5 receiving yards. You'll lay $1.15 either way, whether you go under or over. I'm going over. I like over the 500, and I'm going to hit you with some of my rationale as to why. Now, Austin Hooper, in his career, he is going into his sixth year as a pro, and he has hit 500 or more receiving yards 3 of the last 4 years. Didn't come close as a rookie, but 4 years ago, he hit for 526. 3 years ago, 660. In his big year, his breakout year in 2019, he hit for 787 yards in 13 games. And he hit for 435 also in 13 games last year in Cleveland. Now, last year in Cleveland, his yards per catch was down to 9.5. That is not very, but that is lower than his career average, which is 10.3 yards per catch. And I believe that he bounces back in year 2 with the Stefanski offense and Baker Mayfield. He's going to get a full offseason, no COVID. Remember last year, I know all teams were dealing with COVID, but that was his first year in the offense as a free agent, coming into Cleveland from Atlanta, new quarterback, and still got close to this 500 with 435. Again, this is going to be his second year with Baker, but this year he faces 4 teams that were in the bottom 10 against tight ends last year, and 7 of his opponents in 2021 were in the bottom half versus the tight end position last year in 2021. So that's big news. Good opportunity. Something else that I believe this year is that Cleveland is not going to be playing from ahead as much. Their schedule's a little bit tougher in 2021 than it was in 2020. Last year they seemed to get up on everybody. They played the AFC South. They did real well against that division. And I don't think it's going to be as easy this year when they're playing the AFC West. They've got to play the Chargers and the Chiefs and the Raiders. And regardless of what we think about the Raiders defense, that's a really good offense. And I think that might be a sneaky higher scoring game. And the Raiders are one of those teams in the bottom half against the tight end last year. Obviously already mentioned the Chiefs. And I've already mentioned Baker. So let's talk about Baker. Baker last year had a career low in pass attempts with 486. That's the same number that he had as a rookie. But as a rookie, he only played in 14 games and only started 13 versus playing every game last year. That was a career low for him on a game, on an attempts per game basis. Last year, he averaged right at 30 pass attempts a game. I think that number is going to come back up a little bit, probably be closer to 35. And what those numbers don't speak to are the 3 horrific games that Cleveland played in terrible weather. The really windy games where they wouldn't even land planes in the greater Cleveland area. Baker had 122 yards, 132 yards, and 204 yards in those games. And one of those games were one of the 3 that Hooper missed. Now, his 500.5, so 500.5 yardage prop number, that's less than Blake Jarwin. Blake Jarwin has a higher seasonal receiving yards prop than Austin Hooper. Blake Jarwin in a very crowded receiving group there in Dallas with Dalton Schultz, all the great wide receivers, the running backs. His is 525. Let's go to Seattle. Gerald Everett, his first year in an offense with Russell Wilson, 505 yards. I do like that one, but I like the Hooper one more. His 500.5 is less than Jared Cook, first year, grizzled veteran, first year with second year QB, Justin Herbert, 525.5 passing yards as well. It's basically the same as Gronk. Gronk, 495.5 passing yards, and it's significantly less than Hunter Henry's 560.5 receiving yards, and that's with Jonnu on the field. So why else do I like this? Baker's seasonal prop number is just a shade under 4,000. 3,950.5 passing yards. Now that's on a 17 game schedule, which would be a career high for Baker. But let's say Baker gets close to that. Let's say he gets 3,900, 4,000. Well, let's give OBJ 1,200. I'm being super gracious because I've got a good friend named Neil that loves OBJ. Let's say OBJ gets 1,200. Let's say Jarvis Landry gets 1,000, 2,200. That still leaves 18, 17, 16, 1,800 yards receiving for the two tight ends, which would be Hooper and Harrison Bryant, Donovan Peoples-Jones, the running backs. There's more than enough left over, even being super generous with the wide receivers, to see that Hooper gets to his 500 yards needed to crack this prop. And I did the math. He'd have to average 30 yards a game if he played all 17. Now, given the fact that he's only played 13 games the last 2 seasons, if he just played those same 13 games, he would have to average about 39 yards a game to crack this prop. This is a guy with 3 games in his career over 100 yards receiving. If he has one of those, you're 20% in. Now, I normally don't like going overs, especially with players with a somewhat injured history. But again, this number is so low, I think you've got 3 to 4 games of injury tolerance baked in. So for me, one of my 5 season-long prop bets is going to be Austin Hooper over 500.5 receiving yards on the Draft Kings Sportsbook app, lay in $1.15. I'm going to be back here 3 more times this week with 3 more seasonal prop bets. And remember, on Wednesday, I'll be going live on YouTube with Dr. Kyle Balzer, and we'll be doing the big bet all season long here on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, notifications turned on down below. You'll never miss a prop bet. You'll never miss a chance to get the best number. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you back here real soon with some more big bets.